This is Professional Launch with Ricot Aladin, positively connecting the less connected, bridging gaps, and building futures in the community. Professional Launch with Ricot Aladin.
Professionals, my name is Ricot Aladin, and I am the founder of Professional Launch and the host of the Professional Launch Show on WDOI here. Today, my guest is the owner of Adaptive Life Therapy. I'm so glad to have you in the studio, Nick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for the warm welcome, Rico.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I see that you bring a guest. I'm so excited to talk to the guest, to Alana.
Yes.
I got it. And so please tell the Professional Launch audience a little bit about yourself, Nick.
So I'm an occupational therapist by trade. I started Adaptive Life Therapy a couple of years ago. We're primarily an OT company, although we're looking to offer speech and PT here soon too. We work with all ages and we're mobile. The goal is to, remove barriers to healthcare for people and try and increase function and quality of life for everybody.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I really wanted to talk to you because we know this platform is about helping young professionals launch their careers. And part of your work that I like is the fact that there are some folks, some young professionals who may have some disabilities that prevent them from either getting into the workplace or not being as comfortable as others in the workplace. So talking to you will hopefully shed some light on that.
Sure.
And you brought a guest. Thank you for bringing a guest also to the show. Alana, please say your name and what you're learning, what you're going to school for, and how did you meet Nick?
Yeah, my name is Alana. I'm at school up at University of North Dakota for occupational therapy. I'm in my second year there, so learning everything there is to know about OT. This semester, we're focusing on interventions. So I'm on my 1 week fieldwork experience. So I got connected with Nick at Adaptive Life Therapy for this week to observe and work with him and his team at all of his different sites and with all of the clients. So it's been a great experience.
So that's good. That's good. So Nick, let's go back to you. What inspired you to pursue occupational therapy, and how did your early years of experience as a therapy assistant shape your career to that?
So I started out, what got me inspired? My mom is a speech therapist, Nick Schulz. She used to work for Park Rapids School District. She's done that for many years. She did a great job. That was kind of my first exposure to therapy growing up. I remember being sick and going into the sensory room and being able to hang out with the weighted blanket and the beanbag chair and just having some really fond memories with that. And then I did some job shadowing in high school. Deanne Kivy was one of the first OTs that I got to shadow, and she just did an amazing job. She's at the Park Rapids Hospital, or she was. And I just got to see how big of an impact she made in all these kids' lives, and I wanted to be able to make that impact too.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so you started with an associate degree and later completed your master's. How did that educational path influence your approach to growth and learning?
Well, honestly, so there's two different tracks that you can take. We each took a different track for the education side of things. I did something called a bridge program.
Okay.
So you can go to school for 2 years for an associate's and then work for a couple of years and go back for your master's, and they honor some of that work experience towards credits.
Okay.
It's kind of like an accelerated track,
Okay.
which I was kind of, wanting to get out the gates and get my hands on patients and start treating and learning, and I was just super excited about the profession in that way. So that's why I took that track. Alana, you're doing the traditional 4-year into, is it a doctorate or a masterate?
Doctorate.
Doctorate, yep. So that's the traditional route that most people take. They'll
Okay.
go for, you can go into OT with any bachelor's degree, like music or philosophy, you name it. And then you would do your master's or doctorate portion, and it'd be specific to OT.
Wonderful. I asked this question because I imagine that there are young professionals out there who might want to pursue, to follow your path, right? And not knowing that this option is there for them. And I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Being able to take that path. And that gives you a chance too to see what the field is about, right? By having some hands-on experience.
Yeah, that's exactly why I did it, actually, Rico. I wanted to kind of dip my toe and see, how much I actually did like it. And
Yeah.
that was a really great opportunity, honestly.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So for listeners who may not fully understand the field, how do you describe occupational therapy and its impact?
It's funny that you bring that up. I'm actually going to turn it over for a second to Alana, because part of our schooling is you're supposed to come up with an elevator pitch as to what OT is.
Whoa.
So if you have one ready, do you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Occupational therapy is bringing meaning to anything that an individual wants to, needs to, or has to do in their everyday life. So if they're unable to complete any of those tasks, activities, or occupations in their life, we can help them with that. So in essence, pretty much anything that they need to, want to, or have to do, we can help them with that as long as it's meaningful to them and they are struggling to get it done. So that's kind of what OT does. It's the occupations in your life that we can help you with.
Wow.
My pitch is anything you occupy your time with.
Okay. So, Nick, you work with clients of all ages, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what difference do you see in how children, teens, and adults respond to, adaptive strategies?
I guess it's more complicated than that. You can sometimes boil it down to kids versus adults, but really it's on an individual level, and that's what makes our profession so unique.
Okay.
We really focus on meeting people where they're at and putting their values and priorities at the forefront of what we're doing every day. So, as far as like differences in areas that we do treat, the adults, it's generally mobility, getting dressed, staying in their home safely if it's an older adult. We do also some outpatient stuff too. So like if you got a bad back or a shoulder that's bugging you, that's something we can help out with, the pain and trying to stabilize the joint and get it to be better. When we work with kids, there's a lot of sensory involved, which is kind of a really interesting broad topic, sensory integration therapy. If you wanted me to touch more on that, I can.
Sure. Go ahead.
So sensory integration or sensory processing is the way that your brain and body perceive and interpret all of the information that's coming in from around you on like a second by second basis, right? And then being able to use that information to create like an adaptive response in relation to your environment. So a good example that I'll give is if Johnny wants to go kick a ball, but the grass is wet, he needs to be able to perceive like the texture of the grass with his vision and then be able to refine his motor planning, like how he's stepping and how he's going to kick and plant based on the texture and the terrain that he's walking on. So that's sensory integration at work in some ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that
I
could go for. Oh no! I was gonna say that could go for even adults, right?
Yeah. Anybody can have a sensory processing difficulty.
Yeah.
It presents a little bit differently in adults versus kids, and a way that I like to kind of boil it down is that your nervous system might just be a little less mature than it needs to be if you have a sensory processing issue. And so when you see adults with sensory processing things that we do, it's stuff that helps us stay calm and focused, and it's the same thing for kids too. So our body, just like you have a craving for food, your nervous system has a craving for movement and certain kinds of movement, and that's what helps us focus and feel good, right? Yeah. So have you ever seen somebody tap their hand or their foot while they're talking or nervous? That's a sensory processing thing that helps them stay calm, focused, feel good in that situation. So we'll see bigger examples with kids, like you might see an adult tapping their hand, but a kid, in second grade might be slamming their hand on their desk because that's, what makes them feel good and helps them focus in class.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember when we were talking, when we met, you say, help someone live a functional and balanced life. Those two words kind of stick with me. And I had this question. So what does it mean to help someone live a functional and balanced life?
A balance of work, leisure, social commitments. Have you ever seen the triangle of 3 different things you can prioritize, but you can only pick 2 sides? No? So the idea is you can really only put a lot of energy towards 2 of the points on a 3-point triangle, right? So being able to point out different things that people are doing that are maybe maladaptive or could be refined to help improve function or alleviate some sort of stress in their life, that's one way that we'll work with lifestyle roles and routines with people to help modify those to create more function. Then other stuff that kind of wraps into that, a heart of what we do behind like the therapy in the company relates to adaptive outdoor recreation too.
Okay.
So, quick sidebar, I got kind of hooked on that when I was working in Moorhead schools. I remember this is like the moment where I was like, oh, I want to do this for like the rest of my career. We were taking the kids out to go skating at one of the rinks near Robert Asp, and we had these adaptive skating rigs for kids who maybe would have to use a wheelchair for mobility normally, but they could participate with their class that way in skating. So being able to like get the kids transferred over into that equipment and then pushing them around in it and like playing all the same games that the peers were playing, but in an adaptive way. And then seeing like the amount of meaning that gave to the child really instilled something in me that I wanted to carry out in practice. And now I'm finally getting to do as much of that as I really want. And it's been really rewarding and fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, how do you blend, science and creativity when you try to design any intervention for your clients?
Well, so we will focus on like what the need areas are first. And that's usually based on like what the parent or the caregiver or the patient tells us. So that's always at the forefront. And then we'll try and instill things that are meaningful for that person to help improve function in other areas. So if somebody wanted to be able to get up out of bed better and take care of themselves and get dressed, we might work on those things directly, but we also might work on something called performance skills, which are base skills that you also need for getting dressed, but you could also use it for other activities. So we'll pick an activity that's favored that also influences those performance skills to help with something that's related. So it might be a game, it might be outdoor recreation, you name it, whatever's meaningful for that person.
All right, so getting ready to go for a break here, but I'm gonna answer this question, and we can come back to to the rest of your answer after that. You are training CBIT for Tourette's. What should people know about this therapy?
Oh, I mean, it's technically not like a different kind of therapy. It's cognitive behavioral intervention for Tourette's is what the acronym stands for. It's a specialized training that I pursued a certification in. It's kind of specific to OT, but it applies to other healthcare workers as well. But it's more effective than medications or standard cognitive behavioral therapy in managing Tourette syndrome and tics. One kind of interesting thing from that training is there's an old wives' tale about if you try and suppress a tic, that it'll manifest in a bigger way in a different place. I don't know, a lot of people would tell you that if you told them that you were trying to modify somebody's ticking when it comes to Tourette's. During the training, that was something that they said, it's not necessarily true. A lot of times people will have kind of a safe place where they openly will tick, but then they'll use the habit reversal techniques with CBIT to lead a more functional and comfortable life out in the community. So that's kind of how it's structured, I guess. Is there a part of that you want me to touch on more?
We're gonna do that after break. We have to
Okay.
take a break here for commercials.
Sure.
We're gonna take a short break here. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. We'll be right back. We are back today. We are having a conversation about occupational therapy, and I'm so grateful to have Nick here, Nicholas Schulz, right? Did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay. In the studio for a conversation. Right before break, Nick, you were talking about CBT for Tourette's. Can you continue elaborate on that? I don't know where you stopped the answer, but you wanted to follow up on that. So what does that mean? Tourette's. What is CBT for Tourette's? What is that? I mean, how would you define that?
You'd have to define Tourette's first, which I might be a little rusty on that, the clinical definition. But what I remember is that you need to have verbal and motor tics for at least 6 months, if not a year.
Oh, okay.
In order to meet the diagnostic criteria to have Tourette's. To dive more into what CBIT is, it's habit reversal therapy. So you can break it up into 3 phases. The premonition, acting it out, and then relief, basically, is the cycle that somebody goes through when they're wanting to tic. So the idea with habit reversal therapy is that you can do an opposite movement when they have the premonition, and if you can hold that for 30 to 60 seconds, like the urge within your nervous system will actually die down. And the more times that you do that, you can rewire your brain to have less of those happen over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what does assistive technology look like in today's world, and how does it empower independence? I think that's.
Oh, I really am super impressed with like where technology is specifically for people with disabilities has come in the last, even 5 years. AI has been a really cool thing for that. They have like software programs that will pick up on speech and learn somebody's speech who has maybe gargled or difficult speech, and it'll know what they're talking about based on their unique speech patterns using AI voice recognition. There's software, I think it's called Voice It, that does that. And we do stuff with robotics too, which is really cool. So there's a product that we work with. It's a robotic arm from the company's named Canova, and it's like articulate enough to operate a key, apply makeup, feed yourself, and you can operate it with a joystick. Insurance pays for it, and it opens just so many doors for a lot of people. I think that's really neat. We do some work with like adaptive hunting things too. So I don't know if you're familiar with like a sip and puff.
No, I'm not.
No. So a sip and puff is a type of switch input or interface. A switch is just anything that you can activate to make something else happen, right?
Okay.
So they'll have a switch or a sip and puff switch that they can blow into, and it'll actually fire a rifle, or they can aim it using that too, I think. And so somebody who's got, some limited mobility, they could get out and participate just like everybody else. I think that's really neat. Really the big thing behind it is just getting out and doing what makes life meaningful. That's kind of my philosophy when it comes to assistive technology. But yeah, in the last 5-10 years, there's been so many cool things that have come out. Just like comparing to the beginning of my career, we were, working with more analog stuff. Things were really costly. There weren't that many options. And now, like, it seems like sky's the limit. You can do like eye tracking to operate a computer, just really anything, you name it. If you can think of it, it probably exists.
I was really impressed with our conversation last time. We talked about feeding therapy, sensory integration, and even vertigo treatment.
Yeah.
So what do you find most meaningful and why?
Oh, it's hard to pick because I don't use those interventions just with everybody. It's when we need it kind of thing.
Okay.
So somebody might come to me and say, hey, I'm dizzy all the time, and I can check them for vertigo. And the beauty of like vertigo treatments, like PubMed, the studies would say that 70% of people will get benefit from doing like integration maneuvers with vertigo treatments, which is a really high success rate, I think, and that's really cool. And it's usually a pretty immediate effect. So that's really cool. The feeding therapy, I think that that's really meaningful because it shows an impact on the family unit, and that's something else that's kind of at the heart of what we do. We're not just treating the child and hoping that their skills get better or behaviors or what have you. We're really looking at how our treatment plan is going to affect the whole family in a positive light. That means parent coaching, homework that they can do at home that's going to help their kid more. And by doing all those things, you're empowering parents and making them feel like they're in the driver's seat. And that makes a huge difference when we're responding to, we're late getting to daycare and Johnny needs to get his shoes on. When the parents feel empowered, that whole thing goes a lot more smoothly, like those traditional family routines that you might run into hiccups with. What was the third thing that you brought up?
No, I just say, what do you find it most meaningful and why? So I think you kind of embraced it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was trying to touch on each one,
Yeah. So, as you know, this organization, this show, and Professional Launch as a whole is about mentorship. So we always have a segment in the show that we talk about mentorship. And I'm so glad you brought a student today, and because we're going to address that head on. What role for you, Nick, what role did mentorship play in your journey from therapy assistant to business owner?
Gosh, I've had a lot of different mentors throughout my career. Whether or not they realize they were mentors, it's really anybody that's surrounding you, that's rooting for you, and giving you advice and helping you on your path, because everybody has a path, right?
Yeah, we all.
I found that like staying in contact with my professors from college, classmates that I went to school with that are in different practice areas, that's very helpful as like a cross mentorship thing. So like if there's a practice area that I'm not as well versed in, I might reach out to one of those other professionals that's their specialty area, pick their brain, and because we've got that cross mentorship dynamic, we're able to do that. And then they'll ask me questions about stuff I'm really good at too.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really cool and rewarding. On top of all that, we, like myself as a therapist and then within the company, we're really passionate about taking on students and providing mentorship opportunities for really anybody that could use it. That includes like job shadows too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just about in your field how important it's mentorship for new graduates entering healthcare, and I think that you prove that it's very important because you have some of the students with you. And
well, it's actually a necessity within our program.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to go and do 2 to 3 months of hands-on supervised clinical work. So that's like a built-in mentorship opportunity within your schooling.
Wonderful. So Alana, did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay, Alana. So do you have a mentor, and do you know what mentorship is, and do you have a mentor?
I do know mentorship is, for me, is a combination of all the people who are kind of surrounding me in all the different aspects of in the school setting, in the fieldwork setting, or anybody I've known throughout like past work experiences who have kind of put in their own input or experiences into helping me grow. And then I wouldn't say I have a single mentor. Like it's all been kind of a jumble pile of everyone I've known and gotten to know. I used to work in behavioral therapy, so I've got some behavior analysts in my back pocket that I still am in contact with. I worked in special ed for a bit, so I have a teacher that I'm good friends with. I have my professors and advisors, as well as we go on field work once a semester, and then coming up here in our third year, we'll do 2 12-week opportunities. So Nick was mentioning that three-month opportunities where we'll continue to that mentorship journey as well. And I'm hoping to keep building kind of a portfolio of people I can always reach out to. And Nick will be a part of that, and Aubrey, who's a part of Adaptive Life Therapy, and Ginger as well, who's the OTA that works with them. And just building that rapport with all the professionals that I work with, so that I know I always have people I can reach out to and with questions about whether it's professional questions or even just I need some advice on like areas that I want to grow in and stuff like that.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, like when you were talking about that, it makes me think about the words of Mayor Shelley Carlson. She said she had a sea of mentors. And you know, the way you talk about all the people that you can reach out, you're trying to build connection with. That's really good. You know, this platform is about mentorship, and we are creating a mentoring platform for college students to connect with experienced mentors. That's exactly what we are trying to do. You know, you helping college students, you know, give them job shadows and internships and so on and so forth. This is what we're trying to do with Professional Lunch on a much bigger scale. So we're going to take another short break here. When we come back, we will continue with the conversation about mentorship. We'll be right back. We are back. Today we are talking to the owner of Adaptive Life Therapy. And I love this topic because of the work they are doing to help especially those with disability. And Nick, when we met, you talk about, you know, one of the kids with autism. Tell me the story again, because I think that was a great story.
I don't know which one.
Successful. You know,
Give me
you
some more
help
details.
one kid with autism start a dog poop business.
Oh yeah.
So that, I think that was a cool story. I mean, was that a client of yours, or was it one of the, you know, was it a patient of yours, or how was that?
Yeah, so that's a clinical story. Not without getting into any details, we can't like talk about patient-specific stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this young man, he's very entrepreneurial spirited and was super motivated to start his own business over the summer. And I thought, that's a great way to work on social skills and executive functioning and math and reading and, all those organization skills that a kid might need to work on, right?
Yeah.
He was super engaged, motivated. He loved it. He got a lot out of it. And I thought that was really cool. And it kind of opened my eyes to like what we do is kind of like mentorship for the kids that we work with too, right?
Yeah, so that's why I choose to talk about this in this segment because, regardless, you may not call what you're doing mentorship sometimes, but as you were talking about that, I thought that was a perfect, mentorship story. Helping somebody achieve something they want to achieve, especially when they have a condition of some sort.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really a good thing.
I think it opened up a lot of possibilities in his mind. You don't know until you know.
Absolutely.
One of those deals. So I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of this show is about giving advice to those who are starting out. And sometimes I may sound a little redundant in asking the questions when it comes to asking for advice. But as a business owner, how do you mentor younger clinicians or students who shadow you?
Well, I mean, it's not just specific to like the people that shadow. All the therapists at the company are cross-trained. So that means that there's mentorship going on a daily, weekly basis on how to work with, the diverse populations that we work with and how to best meet the needs of all those people. Really, it's a collaborative approach is what I prefer, coming together as a team and trying to solve a problem, basically.
Wonderful. So what advice would you give young professionals who want to find good mentors and become one?
Become one. I always say don't leave any stone unturned, right? Be curious, naturally curious, and that's a huge leg up, especially in our field, because there's just so much to learn. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And I also would tell somebody, you can think and plan a lot, but sometimes just doing and taking that first step is the thing that you need to do, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you could give one piece of advice to a young professional feeling overwhelmed, what would it be?
Just do the next right thing.
Simple and straight to the point. Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
So, I want to remind everybody that, Professional Launch is a nonprofit organization, and we heavily rely on friends, on partners, on guests to keep our operation going. So go to professionallaunch.org/donate and see all the ways you can support our operation. We are so grateful for your support. If you can't think of any support you can give us, follow us on social media. That goes also a long way. Our LinkedIn page, our channel on YouTube, and our Facebook page. And it's free to do so. And it goes a long way. We thank you so much for supporting us. Now, you help clients build meaningful routine. What are the most underrated habits that improve daily life?
Oh, I think sleep and exercise are the two biggest things that people like. If you want to start with improving your life, getting on like a good regular sleep schedule, and then exercising at the right time of day too, which is kind of interesting. I was just reading something yesterday that just doing cardio for 20 minutes a day can dramatically improve your sleep quality too.
Oh.
So like those are two really simple things that somebody could target right away. I could go into a bunch of details about those things too if you want.
Yeah, please.
So getting sunlight in the morning and then going for a walk after dinner can make a huge impact in your sleep. The sunlight kind of cues your body to start the timer of, okay, in about 12 hours, we're going to sleep, right? Just your brain and your cells pick up on that signaling. Exercising helps with digestion, and then it helps with like blood flow, circulation, lymphatic drainage. All of those things can impact your sleep. Cut liquids 4 hours before bed. Having a full bladder keeps your nervous system kicked on. You won't go into rest and digest, which is something we kind of need for good sleep, right? I think that's most of it in a nutshell, like for the easy stuff, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can people better understand their bodies and stress responses?
I really like looking at heart rate variability, which is kind of interesting because it relates to like your stress
Say that
level.
again. Say that again.
Heart rate variability.
Okay.
It's kind of like a newer topic I haven't dived as much into lately, but like on your Apple Watch, the biometrics and stuff can give you a really good indicator of your sleep quality, your stress level, and then that way we can kind of course correct, right? It gives you feedback. It's almost like biofeedback, right? Which can help like retrain your brain to, be more functional in those ways. But really, stress is one of the biggest things that can affect your health in a negative way, honestly. It'll affect your sleep, your hormones, your weight, your mood, all of that. And then it kind of can create like a snowball effect where, I'm feeling kind of tired because I'm stressed because I didn't sleep good. Okay, I'm going to skip the gym today. And then if I don't go to the gym, then my sleep's going to be bad tonight again. And so it goes on and on and on sometimes. So that's where we might come in and point out, hey, this is stuff that you're doing that's not serving you. How about we try this instead? Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take another short break here. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. We'll be right back. We are back today. We are talking to Nick, and we're talking about occupational therapy and all the ways that you can stay healthy, understand your body, and live a healthy life. So right before break, Nick, we were talking about how we can better understand our bodies and stress responses. And during break, you mentioned chronic stress.
Yep.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
So chronic stress causes cortisol to like not get processed and it gets stored. It can cause your brain to atrophy. If you go into Google and type in like chronic stress MRI, they'll have a comparison of two different brains. One of a kid who had been in like a traumatic household for many years, so they're under chronic high level stress for many years, and then somebody who wasn't. And the amount of like matter in each brain is significantly different. It's very interesting. So like not getting enough sleep, being stressed, not taking care of yourself, that can actually cause like early onset dementia, can cause endocrine issues, like your hormones will be out of whack. It'll mess with the way that you process sugars in your insulin too. So that's like one of the things that I usually bring up and look at with people.
Yeah. So I have a question for you directly. So what does adaptive living mean to you on a personal level?
Adaptive living?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I get hurt, I have to live a little bit adaptively. I mean, I've hurt my shoulder and had to redo how I do like my morning routine. I had a couple of years ago, like torn my AC joint and a rotator cuff on this side. So like I couldn't get my wallet out of my back pocket or comb my hair with this arm, and I'm right hand dominant, right? So I kind of had to teach myself how to drive with my left hand, text with my left. Well, I could text probably with my right hand with that issue, but like all the stuff that you kind of take for granted. And I think that was kind of an interesting eye-opening experience to like, there's a lot of different ways that you can accomplish a task, and whether it's adaptively or through whatever means that you choose, right? It seems kind of scary and new to learn at first, but eventually it didn't feel like that big of a deal to me, So like people are really cool and adaptable, and we overcome obstacles, and I think that that's really, really interesting.
I have one question for Alana. So what excites you the most about this field?
The openness of it. There are so many paths you can take. There are so many populations you can work with. It's really endless what you can do with it, and it's constantly changing and growing as well. As well as it's kind of an underrated field in the sense of not very many people know about it. So working in that advocacy and getting more people aware of it and all the impacts we can make, as well as just helping individuals, and whether it's they know about OT and they need help throughout their life, or finding new areas to kind of integrate ourselves into that we can make a difference in, and just constantly changing and adapting ourselves to fit the needs of the population. It's endless.
Wonderful. So I don't mean to put you on the spot here. How do you see the path that you are planning to take already?
I have a lot of ideas, so I don't know exactly where I'm going. I came into OT thinking I was going to settle with peds, like with kiddos. That's what I worked with for a while before coming in. But now I've got so many other ideas that I've looked into. Advocacy, kind of like I mentioned, for both patients as well as the profession overall. I've looked at AI usage in the profession, pediatrics, rehab, work, doing stuff with like vocational training, chronic pain management, all sorts of things. So I don't know where I'm going, but that's kind of the journey.
That's okay. That's okay. Because the reason why I ask is sometimes when you have too many choices, it's it's kind of hard, and you can see all the things that that is out there, but it's kind of hard to decide. Hopefully, maybe working with Nick, that will probably lead to you finding one that is most exciting to you.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nick, what one message you hope every listener takes away from today's conversation?
One message.
Yeah.
Only one. I only get to pick one.
Closer to the mic, please.
Oh, I only get to pick one. Let me
Well,
think.
it can be two, but it can it depends. But the biggest message the best message you want.
Gosh, you put me on the spot, Rico. If you have any interest at all in occupational therapy, it doesn't hurt to go out and, find somebody to job shadow, see if that's something that would fit for you. I really like the profession because it's a really good mix of like office work and being up and rough and tumble and doing stuff. Mm-hmm. That works for my personality. I would say like for a hands-on learner, this is a great profession. And, spread the word about what we do and how great we can be and help people, right?
Wonderful. Yeah, so Nick, as I mentioned before, I would like us to work together to do something for people with professionals with disability, help them understand, what's out there for them in terms of technology. You said before, the possibilities are endless when it comes to how they can be helped, and I think doing that will shed light on many different things that can be good for those professionals. Because when I say the platform is about helping young professionals, I don't mean only those without disabilities, even those with disabilities. Also, if there is an opportunity to help them, I would like to be part of that, because we don't want to leave anybody out.
Of course.
Of that.
Can I change my message quick?
Yeah.
How about this? Don't ever think that something's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the possibilities are endless, like what you said.
Yeah.
Don't count yourself out. Always be willing to try, right?
I can't remember who that speaker is. Impossible. It's I am possible, something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it meant it as a joke, but it's like in impossible, you said I am possible.
Oh yeah.
So that's I don't know if it meant as a joke or if it was a real something real, but but yeah, man. I want to before we end the show, I want to remind everybody that Professional Launch is a nonprofit organization, and therefore we heavily rely on friends, on partners, on guests to help support our operation. And go to our website, professionallaunch.org, and see all the ways you can support our work, support our operation. We are eternally grateful for your support. Nick, thank you so much for being on the show today, and for bringing Alana. I mean, I don't know. Every time I give I almost say my daughter's name, Eliana. Whenever I'm saying Aliana, thank you for, I'm looking for a student to come on the show and share with me what they are learning, what they plan to do with their majors. You can't I don't want you to go to school for 4 years, spend tens of thousands of dollars, and then you don't have an idea what you're going to do with it. So I want to hear from the students themselves what they are learning and what they plan to do with it, just to help inspire others who are trying to find a career path. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I greatly appreciate you being on the show talking about occupational therapy. Now, this is the part that I tell you, it's up to you to make today a great day. Have a great day.